Hey, it's me! Today I'm doing another episode of Create This Book 2 Interesting Crunchy Sounds.
It just spit something in my eye.
It blows me away every time how much work I've put into this, yet how far away I am from finishing it. I put 200 pages in this thing. What was I thinking? This is a commitment right here. Although, you really don't have to go ham the way I do. I'm back here to do another couple prompts in this book. We always miscreate this book during the long gaps in between episodes. So I'm really ready to do this. Let's get into the pages for today.
All right, here we go. Mandatory 3-second ASMR. Okay, enough. Flipping open to the first page I have for this episode. The directions say, create a page of lyrics. Write lyrics to a song's here. Now I just have to choose a song. We have my go-to songs like the Sprinkle Song. But that has no lyrics. How would I write that? Bum da bum da bum da. My gosh. Then there's Fingers Down My Spine. Fingers down my spine. Girl, you look mighty fine. Classic. But you know what? I think I'm gonna go with an original song. That's right, I'm a songwriter. I like to use music to express my deep thoughts and feelings, and every once in a while, I write myself a nice, emotional song. This piece in particular, it means so much to me. It's about a lemon. A very, very angry lemon. So you may have heard me singing this song in my past videos. He's an angry lemon.
He's an angry lemon.
I'm kind of ashamed to say, but I've sang it more than once. He's an angry lemon. So I thought it would be funny to write the lyrics of this ridiculous and completely unremarkable song. So please try to follow along. He's an angry lemon. He's an angry lemon. Did you get that? Now, I'm starting to go over this with my new fine liner. This is its big debut. It did not go well. Things got very bloody.
He's bleeding.
It bled through the page, so yeah, that's not gonna work. Putting that away, if I had thought in advance to double layer the page, then I could have used it, but I didn't really feel like redrawing this wonderful work of art on a completely separate piece of paper, so I'm just gonna stick with my good old colored pencils, coloring our little blob friend, the angry lemon, complete with butt leaf. I don't know what it is about this guy and why I seem to like him so much and keep coming back to him, but I can't get him out of my brain. I drew him much larger on this page for dramatic emphasis. I'll look at this for a second. He looks happy. Aw, don't get used to it. I made his anger even more pronounced in this drawing. Look at those brows. Whoa! It's as if the longer the song goes on, the more angry he gets. Is it my singing? Yes. Here I go, just finishing up the text on this side, and there it is. Bringing in my Posca, I'm just gonna add some juicy little highlights, and I'm gonna go ahead and paint a nice blue background, kind of a weird floaty background with a white gap all the way around, because do you want to paint around every single letter? Be my guest. I'm not doing it. Then, since I got way too close in a couple areas, I used my Posca to correct the spacing of that. Let's remove this. There is the final page. This one was pretty easy, but I really enjoyed it, and I like the final result. Plus, I am so proud to showcase one of my most remarkable pieces of art, this wonderful song. This way, I will never forget those magical lyrics. Before we move on to the next page, this is just a quick reminder. If you need to do any last-minute shopping, my ME Nails custom nail polish makes the perfect present. Also, there are the individual colors available, which are really great for stocking stuffers. The link is in the description if you want to check these out. Alright, and let's move on to the next page. Aha, here it is. It says, create a self-portrait. Make a list of things that make you ew. Ew, 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 ew. Ow! Here I go with that. I'm going to use some extra pieces of paper this time, and I'm going in with the drawing. Now, when I wrote this prompt, I imagined doing something like what it says, making some sort of list, of course an illustrated list of a bunch of different things that I like, because the idea of a self-portrait is fun, but I feel like the majority of people actually hate drawing themselves, myself included. I don't like drawing my face, no thank you. So I tried to make it a little bit less painful by doing it this way. Speaking of painful, I realized that I drew this too high up, so I have to redraw it on another piece of paper. Yeah, okay, please enjoy. But anyway, I I actually ended up doing kind of like a hybrid option. I'm not exactly drawing myself. It's more of a silhouette, but I'm not really making a list either. It's just kind of this thing.
So
there's the outline. You'll be able to see what's happening better in a minute. But for now, introducing new art supplies.
I've just gotten so many new art supplies recently.
These are the infamous jelly gouache paints. Gouache. I hate saying gouache. Each paint comes individually wrapped in these little containers. Looks like food, kind of makes me hungry. So you just have to peel that off, and ta-da, you have this weird jelly-like paint. Okay, that looks gross. I'll just stir that up and hope that that's not a thing for all of them. How about this one? Oh, yeah, it's a thing for all of them. So this goes on and on and on. I know that artists on YouTube were trying these at one point. I saw a lot of thumbnails with jelly gouache in them, but now that I think about it, I honestly can't remember actually clicking a single one of them. So I haven't a clue if these are good, bad, ugly, dangerous, horrible, life-threatening. All I know is that they were trendy, they're expensive, and they stink, okay? They really do have a weird smell. It was making me slightly nauseous. Anyway, the unwrapping took about a half hour. Made a serious mess of my hands. They are very beautiful, and I had high hopes that they could help me make something beautiful. Ooh, jelly gouache. And here I go. Whee! I feel like the time lapse doesn't really communicate the reality of the situation. It kind of looks like I'm just like painting along, having no problems. But bro, no! In the beginning, I was laying this paint on quite thick, and it's very difficult to spread. It's like painting with snot. Hopefully that's not a very relatable example. It's like painting with
Mucus.
It's the same thing. It feels very gooey and sticky, and it's like taking an incredibly long time to make any progress. But I was determined to carry on, so I just kept trying. Eventually, I did discover that adding a bit of water does help make it a little bit more manageable, but it also takes away the opacity. So you either have a slightly goopy watercolor or a very sticky acrylic paint. It's like the worst of both worlds. It's highly likely that I'm doing this wrong. I was not making magic with this paint. Nope. And it was taking so dang long. It's embarrassing. It is, when you look at what I've done here. But this took hours.
oh boy.
And I'm just thinking the whole time, if I was using colored pencils, I probably would have been done with this drawing by now. And look at what I've done. I've spent so much time on this goopy, messy work of poop. Is this what my self-portrait is? Does this represent me? Honestly, it kind of does. Here's where I've gotten. It actually looks better on camera than it did in person.
And that's not good?
But I'm not giving up yet. I'm gonna keep on trying to fix it and start working on the portrait part of it. I guess this is me right here. So I'm painting in myself, filling in this massive bow at the bottom. That's good. And now here's the magic moment where I start adding the red in for details, and this is where I really realized this is trash.
Burn it!
I started nervously playing with the paper because it's really sinking in. It's incredibly messy. Fun fact, the paint is cracking. It's cracking. Trying to smooth out the cracks with some water, but it's not really working. My paper is warped and shriveling. My lines are wonky. The edges are an out of control mess. The details are horrible. I hate what I've done here.
I hate it!
So I'm outlining the whole thing in Sharpie so that I can trace it, because we're starting over. Oh, a whole day of work gone. Tragedy, really, it is. Once I've cleaned up the new sketch, we have this. And this time, oh, I'm so happy to see you. Mwah, mwah. I'm going to be using my trusty colored pencils, who really never betray me. Why would I ever leave you? Now, one good thing, since I am redoing the drawing, I have the opportunity to change a few things that I didn't really like about the original. So I did tweak the shape of the rainbow loop-de-loop, and I also added some of the colors dripping to give it a little more interest. So we have this traveling rainbow of dripping colors swirling around, doing its thing until splat, this explosion of color, and that's me in the center of it.
Hi.
I went for a nice bold saturated colors in the big splat to have a nice boom, pop, impact, and then, you know, we try to do the blendiness of the colors and yummy. So the big splat of rainbow paint I feel like is part of my identity at this point. I realize now that the way I added the colors is really strange. I started at the corner going at a diagonal, so I should have continued that way, but then somewhere along the way I straightened it out and they became horizontal. So that makes no sense. That's mildly annoying. I guess I'll have to start over again.
No!
No, that's not happening. There's this big bow that's kind of like framing the bottom because I like bows, and to me they kind of represent like little cutesy things, which I feel like is a big part of my style. And then there's me, which I decided to draw myself in the human cupcake form. Not because this is how I want to see myself all the time. Bringing back this fine liner, here's your chance. I'm surprised that I'm still willing to test new supplies at this point. I just think the human cupcake is a good self-portrait for me because, well, you know, it was one of my dreams to become a cupcake, whether it turned out a little creepier than expected or not. And we've got sprinkles, we've got desserts, but you know, it's also just kind of a little slightly weird. Not too weird, just a little bit, and that's me. Not too weird, just a little bit. Finishing this off with some nice little highlights around the splat thing, and back to the other part of this, going in with the fine liner. And I have to say, these fine liners, not a love connection. Man, I don't like anything today. Even though this is a brand new pen, it keeps getting dried out because it's picking up the wax from the pencil. Also, if you're not holding it at the perfect angle, the ink will not flow. I ended up adding some little stars around just to give it more, and now I finished with both sides of the drawing. Here's the first version. If anyone tells me that they like this version better, no, get out. You can't. I forbid you. This is the new version. I will say that I do like the density and the saturation of the color that the jelly gouache gives, but the details are so bad, they're nowhere near as nice as the colored pencil version, and there's really no contest when it comes to the rainbow loop. I mean, the original is just so bad. It's so bad. It's so sloppy and lumpy and uneven. I think the second attempt is such an improvement. I'm going to take my drawing and apply a nice coat of matte Mod Podge to it, and I'll let that dry for a few hours before slapping it back in the book, and bam, here it is. My stupid self-portrait that took an insanely long amount of time to make. You know what? I shouldn't be surprised that I would fail at my own self-portrait. I am happy with it, although it looks really simple considering how much I had to fight to make this happen. This is what the page could have looked like. Nobody wanted that. So at least we've avoided that situation. Because I had to completely redo my drawing and start over, I only got to complete 2 pages in this episode. So sorry. That's what happens when you make massive mistakes. Everyone suffers. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode regardless. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye!